Hello everybody and welcome to another excellent webinar focused on the area of information security today. I hope you're all doing well wherever you are located today. So just to go through the housekeeping, so please keep yourself muted at all times so we can all hear the speaker as best as possible. Our best recommendation in case you have any technical problems is to simply quit and rejoin the webinar. Otherwise, you can head over to the GoToWebinar support page in case you're still having problems. You can use the question panel in the system to ask any questions you'd like throughout the whole session, and we will take as many questions as we can after the main presentation. So I have Mario here today, who is the founding partner of Datalege Consulting, and he's going to be talking a little bit about matching legal and IT concepts together for information security compliance. So without further ado, I'm going to let him introduce himself a bit more in detail. And Mario, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Stefan, for this introduction. Let me share my screen here.
There we go.
So are you seeing my presentation now? Yes?
Yes, we can see it, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, good morning for everybody. Thank you for attending this meeting, this presentation. I'm talking here from Brazil. And sorry, my voice is not very good today. Could be better, but could be worse also. But thank you, and we will start and understand what we talking about the IT and legal harmony, how we can understand the connection between the several technical measures that we can take, how to be compliant and apply the important security measures that IT or information security can provide. We cannot imagine a project with waiting to do the data protection laws to be successful without the IT measures. So this is what we will talk about. I'm founding partner of Datalege, is a consulting company here in Curitiba, south of Brazil. I have been working for big companies. Maybe you know some of them here. Bosch, Renault, the French car manufacturer, and other companies. Just a moment here. Okay. And my experience is with deploying SAP systems and IS policies. I'm also DPO certified by AC and trainer. If we think about our privacy, how is it today? We cannot go into a mall, for example, a store, a supermarket, and go there without being recorded. Almost every time somebody is monitoring us. The cameras are monitoring us. And then we go to the power of the platforms. How much information is involved in like Airbnb or Uber, where you give your informations. I heard a presentation once from the legal general manager of Uber in Brazil, and she said that they have a lot of information about the users because they know from where the person goes to where they go. What they can understand, what are the itinerary that they have if they go to a church or a syndicate, so they know they have this information also. And the delivery, nowadays people are asking to deliver home everything. A friend of mine, he asked for a pack of ice, for example. So it's not just for pizza. But what we have to understand here, there is so much information involved on this, and this must be protected. And when we go to the social medias, even worse. some days ago, a lady here in Brazil, she's a kind of YouTuber, and she had an accident with her car. She got paid by the insurance $10,000 more or less, and she showed the $10,000 in her YouTube, and it's what happened after. Less than 1 hour later, two guys knocked her door, and they were bandits or thieves, and they stole her money. So it's complicated. People are exaggerating in this position. Maybe you know this phrase. It's very known. Clive Humby, he said that information is the new oil. Companies today, if they have the habits of the customers, information of the employees, this is very, very valuable. And so this reinforces the importance of data protection. And maybe you know already this, but there is no privacy without data protection. If a company collects data, personal data, legally they have to protect. Because the personal data protection laws is in plural, because in Europe we have GDPR, in Brazil we have the LGPD, in Mexico it's called the law. So it's plural because but they were created to protect the data subject. It can be maybe a bad news for an entrepreneur, because he will say, now I have to spend more money on this new law. I mean, new for us in Brazil, it's more recent. And I am from IT, and if I look in the law and we will see what are the technical measures that I have to apply. The data protection law are not clear about this. They will not say, your password has to have 8 positions. The first must be capital. It's not written there. So we have to go to the ISO and understand what are the best best requirements, and also the best practices. Looking more closer to the law, it's clear that the information reliability is very important. It's a demand. It's mandatory to have this reliability, which is built in confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These 3 main words here are very important, and they are directly connected with the rights of the subject. But before talking to the rights of the subject, I will just make a comment about this. It's also probably a very known figure for you, but information security is based on processes, technology, and people. And all this have legal impacts. They have legal connections. And this is what I will show for you this morning or this afternoon for you, maybe some. Here is 9 o'clock in the morning in Brazil. I will show you the connections between these stakeholders here. For example, beginning with processes. How do we collect personal data? It's a very important question. And do we correct them truly? And I'm caring about integrity. Are the data correct? How are internal accesses granted? Can everybody access information? I have no control. Is a matter of confidentiality. And how long do we keep the personal information? It's very important to understand that some information I have to keep because I have legal obligations. But some information I don't have legal obligation. For example, a curriculum. How much time I have to keep it? It's like gas. If I have, I have curriculums from the last 5 years. It's useful. They're useless. This is also a matter of availability. The second, the technology. Do we have security solutions implemented? But what is this? Just yes. Do we have security solutions implemented? Is important because it's a mandatory. Are our backups reliable in case we need? Having backups is very positive for sure, but are they reliable or not? It goes directly to a matter of availability. If my company, for example, loses some informations and the data subject is requesting these informations, I need to put my backup to work. And does it work? Do we have a contingency plan? Also, if I what I do if I don't have energy supply, for example, I need a contingency plan. Also, it's connected to availability and the people. It's always people for me. It's something very interesting because it's the weak part of it. You can have good processes, good technology, but if the people do not is their part, then it's complicated. Are our employees well trained in terms of confidentiality? Though they know that they cannot spread information from the company. Yesterday I was reading news in Brazil that somebody was fired because he got database from personal data, and he sent this file to his own email home, his private email. He was fired because he should not do this. The company had policies to define what they can do or not. So are the employees well trained? Do we have signed confidentiality terms? Also very important. It's connected directly with confidentiality. Do employees follow internal IS standards? This case that I recently mentioned, the person didn't not follow. So this all these points, when we could have a list of, I don't know, dozens of points here, all they have a connection to the legal. When we go a little further to understanding data protection laws, I will take GDPR. It's most common for you. Article 24 says that the controller shall implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to ensure and to be able to demonstrate that processing is performed in accordance with this regulation. The controller, we see two important words here. Controller. The controller is not the processor. The controller shall, it's mandatory, implement appropriate technical and organizations. The focus is on technical measures here. If an IT manager says that he spent $1 million last year implementing security measures, what does it mean? Not much, almost nothing, because where did these investments done correctly? For example, I have a lot of money spent in a backup solution, but is it working correctly? I am backing up the correct systems. Do we have successful reports about the backup? So it's important. It's not the how much in this case $1 million I spent. Was it correctly spent? And then connecting with the rights of the subject. I use in my training sessions a tip. If the people go to the certification and the modules PDPF, PDPP, they talk a lot about the data subject. I said, consider him, or they consider the data subject as a king. So he must be set on the throne, and we have to serve him. This is the one idea to give a picture in this. So we will take a look at what are the principles. First one, the information must be processed lawfully, according to the law, fairly in a transparent manner, collected for specified, explicit, and legitimate purpose, and not further processed in a manner of compatible with those purposes. It's important to have the data collected according to the law and very specific. You cannot give like vague goals like, are we improving user experience with these informations? It's not correct. Adequate, adequate, relevant, and limited what is necessary. We have to apply always the data minimization concept. I cannot go and say, how is the name of your friend? What you have dogs home, or making dummy questions. Accurate and where necessary, keep it up to date. It's the right of the subject have the data accurated. Keep in a form which permits identification of data subject for not longer than necessary. Exactly the case that I said. You have the curriculum and you CVs then, and you keep it for 5 years. It's not necessary. The data subject has always the right to have the data updated and correct. If they are not correct, for sure. Processing manner that ensures appropriate security of the personal data, so appropriate security, including protection against unauthorized or on-loop processing. And what is unauthorized access? People that have nothing to do with that information. Against loss, destruction, or damage. We have a very big university here in Brazil, and it got fired. It was destroyed. So these data were destroyed with a non-authorized action. So it's a data violation. The basic principle is the responsibility to protect the personal data process. I think you already understood this. And what are the rights of the subject? Shall have the right to obtain from the controller confirmation as to whether or not personal data concerns him of or her are being processed. This is, for me, the first step the service can do is, hey, company, do you have information about me? Shall have the right to obtain from the controller without undue delay the rectification. You have to have um, um, a way where the data subject can have his data or the data actualized. The right to obtain from the controller the erasure of persons. People IT don't know how to erase information in a big system. You can deactivate information. It's a very, very complicated. If the legal department comes to the IT department says, hey, you have to erase this information from our SAP system or something, Oracle, I don't know. And IT will answer, okay, but I cannot erase a record from my database. And also shall have the right to obtain from the controller restriction of processing. Complicate to implement this. How I have to interfere in my system and give controls where the accuracy of the personal is contested, the processing is unlawful, or the controller no longer needs the personal data. It's very complicated to attend this article. Article 20 shall have the right to receive the personal data in a structured format. It's not. Must be a format that can be easily read and transferred. And he has the right to transfer this for another company, another controller, and the right to object at any time for this processing. Very important also, the profiling. I have the right to not to be subject of a profiling. And the last one, to lodge a complaint with the supervisory authority. Maybe here is not a technical measure to be taken, but it's also understand that it can be happened. In the other way, we have the many threats. For example, the human threats to start. We have always the problem that the hacker can break into the company, the use of social engineering, and also from people tricking others through phishing or spam. So it's to make this harder, we have these problems, and also non-human threats, rain, storms, floods, fires. So it's a lot of things that can go wrong, and we have to protect information, take technical measures to avoid. In this case, what can we do? Firewalls, antivirus, training, many actions that we can do. We also have protected installations to avoid these threats, and many others things that are happening every day. We not go through all these points, but it's a lot of things that are going on, hackers, the malwares, and so on. The question, what we what we put here is not if my company's data will leak. It's a little apocalyptic, but yes, the company will have a leak, data leak. It's very sad. It's very we have to worry about this. The question is, when will this happen? It can be an internal person, an insider. It can be a hacker. It can be a non-human threat. Then we have a lot of things. The correct answer, we have to be prepared. If we are attacked by a hacker, for example, with um, asking for crypto money, we cannot have here a wild goose chase, something crazy. We have to have organized uh, steps. Okay, now we are going to where I want, matching IT and legal aspect. What can we understand as technical measures? It's not it's just a list of points. Then it's not exhaustive for sure. But implementation of a security operations center where you can have where you can do monitor network servers, computers, and people. Just a comment here. When we are monitoring people, you have to notify them previously. You cannot do monitoring people without notifying them. This is directly related to the points on the Article 32 about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That's why the first moment, or one of the first, I was looking for the Article 32, and the Article 32 in the GDPR is where you have the technical measures. It's very weak. It's frustrating. You don't have sorry, you don't have a lot of information about this. But okay, this is it's an interpretation. You can also have double authentication in limited access zone, for example, your data center or area where you process information. You can use something that you know, a PIN code. You can add to this a badge that you have, or you can use also biometrics. What is the intent here? Give more protection. You are indirectly or directly using the Article 32, providing confidentiality and resilience to this processing, giving this more security. Equipment maintenance. Computers sometimes they fail. Do you have qualified personnel and right tools to this maintenance? Why? Nah, in my company, the temp does it and he has a hammer. It will not be good. Now, this will be not very connected to the ability to restore the availability. I have to, my responsibility is have the informations available to the data subjects and the correct equipment disposal. A friend of mine, he bought 10 computers from a company that sells these kind of used computers. He bought 10 equipments, and from these 10, 4 of them had HSBC informations. What happened? probably at HSBC sell these old computers with the hard disk and information on it. So the correct equipment disposal must be followed also. In this case, I would use the hammer to destroy the hard disk. It could be a good use for the hammer. Clean table policy. Now, if you look, this lady, she's working on the office. Then he has you cannot see good, but she has a computer screen. She has a file on the table. Maybe it could be here a pen drive, I don't know. And she left, she goes to the bathroom. Then she finds somebody else, they start talking, then she goes to a meeting and they have a large lunch. So she went for 3-4 hours out of her desk, in this case. So what can do? Can we assure the confidentiality was not broken here? So what you have to do, put all this sensitive information in a safe place, close the screen and so on. So hopefully you are understanding that we are talking about confidentiality and we are applying technical measures. The screen, for example, should after 30 seconds, 3 minutes, I don't know, shut down. Printers also a very important point. Is printing only possible through a password? I cannot send a print and I go not there to take it back, and then after I print again. So it's also a problem with confidentiality and integrity here. Is the printer setup only performed by IT staff, or no? Everybody can set up a printer in his own computer. And so these are some technical measures that help to get confidentiality. Is the screen protected with passwords? It's important. If the person, the lady there, goes to the bathroom, for example, after 3 minutes, the screen will be protected with this password. And password management also. The article 32, it's always the same here. It doesn't say what is that strong password. We have to look at the best practices to ISO to understand, but we need to use strong passwords, mandatory changes every 30 days, for example. We cannot repeat previous passwords. One student here, he said that his company is a French company. They cannot use the last 33 passwords. And the password has 14 positions. Forced password changing from the first login. It seems to be very easy or very simple, but a lot of companies do not do this. A lot of, maybe the experience that we have, more than 70%. Network use policies, segregation of networks, corporate visitors, third parties. It's very important also. I cannot give access at the same network. Secure login procedures, user identification and authentication. We have here in Curitiba a mall called Pátio Batel. It's the name of the mall, Pátio Batel. Batel is the neighborhood. And they gave free access in internet. And one day, the feds, the federal police in Brazil, they went there and they asked for the administration who was connected on day X and time X. And they didn't know because they had no control about this. At that time, bad guys are using the network, to transmit pedophilia, or pornography, in infant pornography, and they could not identify who was there. So it's very important in your company to have this identification and authentication, and also limiting connection time or inactivity. In a company that I've been working, they had know this. We implement this after. and people on the street were using the Wi-Fi service because the password was never changed, so they knew what was the password of this company. Again, we are working here with confidentiality. Cryptography. Cryptography controls, this is directly related, is in the Article 32, the pseudonymization and encryptation of the personal data, and Article 6, item E, the existence of appropriate safeguards which may include encryption or pseudonymization. So this is more clear, this is more written, that we can use, or we should use, encryption to protect personal data. Pseudonymization and anonymization also on the same articles, I have not to repeat it again, is informed that we need to have this. And the backups. It's very important to have regular backups. And more important also is that they are reliable. We can test the restores. This is related to the item C on the Article 32, the ability to restore the availability. And remembering that availability is one of the main data subjects' rights. In the same line, we can talk about DRPs and BCPs, disaster recovery plannings, and business continuity plan, directly related to the restore availability. So have you seen how many things that are IT are directly connected to the legal aspects? Yeah? What else? Malwares, a strict firewall and antivirus policy is required. You know, this is very basic, but it's not enough. It's not enough to stop, because the happy clickers, the person that cannot stand this, she or he has to click on the icon on the email, the attached file, and then can take the whole company to a bad position. What we can do is not a technical measure, but we have to train the users to recognize spam or phishing. Maybe more than 70% of the users don't understand the difference if what is a email phishing or something like this. And one of the very important actions is the incident management. It's very useful because we can have, if somebody receives an email with a suspicious file attached, and the person says nothing, they just delete, for example, he or she just delete the file, but they don't know that the other user and other maybe had the same email received. So it's a crisis. So when you have an incident management, then where somebody is, hi, how may I help you? I have a suspicious email here. Can you take a note? So it's important we learn with the situations. It's very useful to avoid this crisis. And also it leads us to know what we have to do with this situation. So it's very important in a closing idea, have an incident management. So the adequacy to legislation is really formed by these technical measures, organization, and they are together. They are connected. You cannot do just take care of the legal measures. It has to be done together. This is what I had to. I think we are on time. Maybe just to briefly, I am in Curitiba, south of Brazil. Datalege is a consulting company that we make the adequacy to the LGPD and GDPR, and also training, several kinds of training, and the GPO trail with Exim. We are very happy with the partnership that we have with Exim. It's very, very productive and professional. And we have also a small branch in Germany, in Köln. If you have also want to have a contact with us, can be done or in Brazil or in Germany. I give you a time to questions. My contact information. If you want to have this presentation, I can send it to you. No problem at all. Okay, thank you, Arnold.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's we'll include the presentation in the follow-up email, then people can access to it themselves. That's
okay, great.
Well, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot for your sharing your slides, Mario. I'm going to now move on to the questions. I see we got a couple already. I just want to give people a couple of minutes now just to think in case you have any questions. Do throw them into the questions booth, and we'll. Oh yeah, we are right on time, so I think we have a time to answer a few questions. So I'll just give people like a minute or two just to gather their thoughts. All right, whilst people are thinking, I'm going to start with one. Are you ready, Mario?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, the first question is a long one. So, is mandatory change of passwords required by GDPR? There is more and more of a trend to stop this and keep the password either for a long time or have no requirement to change it at all. This reduces the risk of people writing down their passwords. What is your view on this?
Yeah, I would like to have this article written in the law. It's mandatory to change. I would like to have this, but we don't have. It's very, in terms of the law is flexible, and we don't have this. But we have to look to the ISO or the best practices to understand that yes, it's mandatory in terms of technical measures. Have this changing password every 30 days, 60 days, but it's very positive to have this in terms of security. Yeah. But the law doesn't say it's mandatory.
Okay, but do you feel that this, but if people have to change their passwords, do you feel that this, because people have to write them down, do you feel that this is a risk?
Write down. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
they have to change. Yeah.
You have this, this post-it. In one training, I say, is this a culture? Maybe it's a culture. The people write down the password because they are complex. She's PTR, I don't know what. It's complex, and then they write this down, put it under the keyboard or or in the screen. It's for sure. It's a risk, and the companies are also using the single sign-on. What is single sign-on? You connect in the network, for example, and then you have access to all other systems with just one password. If somebody else takes this password that is written down, you have a problem.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for your answer there. I hope we've covered the question as best as possible. Just want to give people a bit more time in case there's any more questions. All right, so I think I'm going to just show you guys one more thing before we take off. If I can just take back the control area, that's all right.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
There we go. Yes. So I come back to here. You can see the screen, I assume. Okay, so we've talked a lot about information security today, and well, luckily, Exim does have the information security management related to ISO 27001 among 3 levels, testing your foundation knowledge, going all the way up to expert to validate some of the concepts that Mario has discussed with us today. And funny enough, we do have quite a range of career path certifications that do involve this in some shape or form, depending on your depending on your job role. So, firstly, we have the data protection officer, as Mario mentioned. He is one of these, so it's good to have him on board. This combines of course, also the privacy and data protection aspect too. So you have the aspects of GDPR, and you can understand more about the EU regulations, and you can ensure your data protection policy within your firm is on track. And then secondly, we have something semi-related, is the information security officer. This is more about the data protection side of things and ensuring that your data leaks are minimized. And then this has more focus on combining the information security foundation professional with one of the optional modules down there. And then furthermore, we do have some certified integrator paths too. So firstly, we have the Secure Cloud Services certified integrator. So this combines the cloud information security IT service management, so you can keep your cloud secure. And then lastly, we have secure service assets, which is focuses on keeping your assets all secure in one place in a multidisciplinary career path. That is required nowadays from professionals, and gives you the validation and recognition to perform any one of those 4 roles within your organization. So I will include all of these links in the follow-up email, so don't you worry about remembering these. So with that in mind, I would like to thank everyone here today for joining us, wherever you may be. And Mario, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you also for this invitation.
Yeah. You're most welcome. And well, so please keep an eye on your inbox for the follow-up email, for the recording link, and the slides that Mario presented, so you have a record. And well, that's it really. And I wish you a pleasant rest of the day wherever you are. And we hope to see you again in another excellent webinar soon.
Okay, bye. Thank you.